Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's breakfast somewhere. So eat up. Welcome to Breakfast with Vinny. Food for thought. Today is another special day with a very, very special guest, a good friend of mine, a colleague, and someone that I call the magician of the drum world, the Merlin of the drums, um, someone who has taken care of me. And when people ask me about my drums, I always tell them that they've been Heuerized. Please welcome to the show, my dear friend, Chris Heuer.
Oh, Vinny, thank you so much for the kind words and thanks for having me. Very honored.
Yeah, the honor's all mine, Chris. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. And I have to say that because my words are echoed by many, many people. I'm not the only one that says this. Yeah, Chris is a magician. Everybody says that, he's the magician. So start calling you Merlin, Maybe you should start wearing one of those wizard hats. and, uh,
Who knows?
and, and,
Maybe it's my new look. Could
yeah, maybe
happen.
it is your new look. But
You never
honestly,
know.
you never know. Hey, it's marketing. I'm a marketing guru here. But really, you've actually it's sort of like you're like a polymath of drums. You're a player. Uh, you can build drums. You can repair drums. You paint drums. You can modify drums. You're like the drummer's luthier, an artisan, and a player, and you understand them inside and out, to the point where you have this kind of symbiotic relationship with the drums, if I may say so. And
That's very, very kind.
yeah, no, you
But
do.
yeah, I grew
Yeah,
up loving drums. Drums was the one thing I always wanted to apply myself. And um, why not know everything about something you love? To try to
makes
know
sense to me.
the more
Yeah,
you know, the better off you'll be, right? So,
yeah, sure.
it's always been my instrument of choice. Tried piano at first, also percussion, but leaned towards the drums. And it just was my thing. It stuck. And here we are after woof,
Yeah, yeah,
45
yeah.
years or something.
That's amazing, man. When we start
But
talking about those numbers, I get it. It's mind numbing to me too. I think, wow, okay, oh, 4 decades, yikes. So, but you know what? It gives us a lot to look back upon, and I think that the best use of experience is to be able to apply all that stuff, in the present moment, because it's all process, instead of
mhm,
trying to have things that we learned 40 years ago that applied then not be applicable. That's not the idea. That's not what I think, how experience is supposed to serve us. I don't think
right. No,
experience is supposed to serve us that way. Do you? You know?
I think, well, it's a constant growth. Things are
Yeah.
always constantly changing. You kind of have to always see what's good at the moment and what might be now was something back then, but it's changed. So you have to change with it. Everything does change, and you do have to change with it, or you will be left behind. So I think
Yeah,
always learning
we've
something new. There's always something you can learn, and the old
amen to
expression
that.
of knowledge is power. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Knowledge is power, and what's the other one? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely.
But no, seriously. But you started drums at a young age. But then, was there something that led you to sort of go, wait a minute, I could fix this. Wait a minute, I want to make this drum better. I know how to do that, or I'll figure out how to do it. Wait a second, I want to do this. I'll build this. Like what was it that got you on that road to and I know that you have skills, mechanical skills and engineering kind of skills, but I mean, I'm just wondering how was it that kind of thing where you had to
I
do
think I
something
kind
you
of fell into it. Well, I'll be honest, yeah, always playing, but I did my own repairs and learned at a younger age how to tune. That was a big part. I've always wanted my drums to sound good. So we go out and buy a bunch of different heads, even if it was just for one tom or a kick drum or something, and just try everything until I found out what I liked. And that's what it's all about, you know. But also learning, oh, why does he like this? And this person likes that. And getting versatile and being able to do many different sounds. That was very helpful as I, did a lot of teching in the studios and so forth. And
Sure.
good sounding drums are just something that makes my heart feel nice and fuzzy. It's, as you know, when you're sitting behind a kit playing and the drums sound
Yeah.
amazing, it inspires you to play more, and it mentally inspires you to create.
Well, it
So but I
absolutely
came
does.
into this, I think, just being from a tool background, and yes, used to do drafting and so forth, a lot of math, and I don't know, but music's always been my true love. And I think when I moved to LA and started working at the company Drum Paradise, and I think it was just something you just learn. You just by hand taking drums apart, cleaning them at first, simple things, and then you learn more about, yeah, the woods, the wood types and metals, and
Yeah. Sure.
just edges. And then I had friends. I was very blessed to have people help me progress. I knew
Mhm.
someone that did painting. He came over, taught me, and I'll owe him now for teaching me a way, and that furthers my career. And Dustin, if you're listening, thank you very much. So yeah, you always have people to better you, and sometimes you just got to listen, learn, and then you can go on your own path.
That's well said, Chris. Well, I mean, and that's good that you credited this person for helping, teaching you something. I mean, I think that's a great thing to do. We always respect, those that came before us. It's like, even as,
Of
as
course.
players, it's like whoever it is that came before me will always be sensei. You know what I mean?
Right.
Always, always. Just
Yes.
there is no the case closed. There is no other thing. You know what I'm saying? There's no
Yeah,
other.
listening to the records growing up, and like we
Yeah.
mentioned a little bit about, the ride symbol, Tony. Like you hear
Oh
things and
yeah.
oh my Lord, just the sounds, their presence behind their instrument, and how they inspired us to become better. That's
Absolutely.
that's what we should. I think all of us, no matter what you do, can learn and grow from listening to others. Listen to others that have been
Absolutely.
successful. So yeah, we all
Yeah.
have to work together, and I think the
Yeah.
more we do, the
Absolutely.
better off we are.
Absolutely. And speaking of, you actually really got really into the history of the drums. I mean, you know this stuff inside and out from drums that from the beginnings of what became
Books,
known as a trap set, the
lot of books, lot of reading, lot of just spending time with it, and being blessed to be able to see so many of these drums. People
yeah,
bring them in,
right.
you're like, oh, I thought I would never see one of these. Just so many different old vintage drums that, yes, some made it through, some did not. Some are very rare, and then other ones were crowned to be, oh, you have to have one of these if you're going to be a drummer.
Right,
The old
right,
Black
exactly.
Beauties and the Radio Kings and the stuff that we were, that was handed down to us. And now you have so many instrument makers and drum builders out there that are coming up with new ideas every day. And yeah, I'm hoping to see mine actually come out very soon. And so, yeah, it's always
Good.
moving forward, trying to do better and better your instrument, better your craft.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Chris?
It's something I feel like I've put the time in. I got, there's always legalities. You got to cover your stuff, yourself. And, um,
Sure.
but I'm looking forward to it. I have given it to several people, and they played it in the studio. And actually, it's in someone's hands right now that's giving it a workout, and getting feedback from a lot of great people, which I want to put out a product when it first comes out. It's what it should be. Don't try to rush the product out just to get it out. Make sure it's
Amen.
exactly what you want when you do it, because then you
Yeah.
have, yeah, then there's nothing to be shameful of. There's no, you can stand behind it 100% with confidence, and that's what
Sure.
I'm hoping I can, yeah, unveil this year.
Okay, good. Well, you know what? You've probably have spoken enough about it, as much as you want to talk about it. So we'll just all keep our fingers crossed and keep on the lookout for this. And I wish you well on that one.
Thank you
Um,
very much.
but when you,
It
Chris,
will be
when you
getting a
do,
push when it's ready.
okay, hey man, I'll stand behind you, brother. And you know what? When you do this, are you thinking about specific applications? In other words, like, let's say if it's one instrument, if it's a drum, it's a snare drum, or whatever it is, are you thinking about a drum that, for example, let's talk hypothetically. Let's say that if you, Chris, were going to put a drum out, okay, on the market, and let's say that if it was going to be a snare drum, hypothetically speaking here. So, you know, if you were just going to put one out, would you put it out thinking that it was just one of the beginning of a series of instruments that would have different applications? Or would you try to make it as versatile and as kind of wide reaching as possible, kind of like a Swiss Army knife of drums, as it were, if you know what I mean? If that is
Gotcha.
that
Yes, actually, I am experimenting with different materials. Obviously, going to give us different sounds. So, different kinds of metals, different kinds of wood, and of course, sizes make a huge difference as well. So, I think as I'm digging deeper and getting all the feedback from the people and my own experience with metals and wood,
Mhm.
I think of course, there'll be some that you make and you go, it fell short. It's not what I want. And you throw that off to the side. And okay, now after hearing it, now how do I adjust it to make it better? Well, that's hopefully the
Mhm.
knowledge I've gained throughout the years that you then tweak it and it becomes exactly what you're looking for. But yeah, I want it to be versatile. I do want to try different things because again, some people like piccolo drums, some people want 8-inch drums. Everyone has a different thing. So trying to be able to make one drum very versatile though is my overall what I try and what I'm trying to achieve. So you don't have
Great,
to buy 6 different drums. You can buy
great,
one and get 6 different sounds. That is
excellent.
what I'm trying to go for. But yes, I do want to offer
Yeah.
different varieties as well.
That's great. Yeah, because you could do that down the road, and it probably wouldn't affect your original concept of your original drum. Anyway, I mean that's what we used to like. I remember back in the day, it always seemed like the superphonic one was like the Ginsu knife of snare drums. And if you looked at a dictionary, right, and like I mean, I remember back in the early '80s, it was always like Gretsch drums, that the 400 snare. Always people always like in the LA studios. That's what it was in the LA studios. Nowadays, I mean, there's all kinds of ways that people modify drums, but other than just the tried and true, what engineers used to do, the great engineers that you and I know, the late great Al Schmidt, and there's a bunch of people, that really know how to mic drums. Bill Schnee, Nico
Yes.
Bolas. I mean, there's these guys, and people that have come up over the years that have, become real solid engineers. Wesley Seidman, and these people, they know. Like I remember Al used to just. He would just come out and just to change the drum sound, he'd come out and take the mic and he would just move the mic. So, you know, this brings up a lot of things about the quality, the inherent quality of the drum versus tweaking it in the studio because microphones hear stuff way different than our ears do. I remember years ago in New York, I went in to do some session and there was this really beat up drum kit there. And I think they had it in the studio there because they were doing a lot of jingles. So obviously they lived with that kit, and the kit, was there all the time. So they were tweezing it constantly, and I thought, oh, I sat down and I thought, oh man, these are terrible. No matter what I did, when I went in the control room, it was like, holy cow, because they lived with those drums all the time and they tweezed
Yep.
them. So, a lot of people are going to say, well, why bother with a good kit when you can make any drum sound good, right? But then the best engineers that I've worked with, I'd say, man, you're making my drums sound so good. They're like, well, you know how to play them, but you know what? You come in with a great kit, and all I got to do is open up the faders. So there's that. Like, why
Yep.
would you? I'm sure that if you put, some cheesy violin in the hands of like Itzhak Perlman or something, he could play the hell out of it. But you would do
Yes.
him a disservice if you would say, take this on a concert tour. He's going to want his instrument. He knows
Correct.
that instrument is going to help him bring his tone out the way that
Correct.
it should come out. So that's
Yeah.
what a great drum does is, I mean, to me, is that it
I agree.
enables me so that, I can, no matter what I do, it delivers it for me. And the same
I
with my
agree. And like you
cymbals.
were mentioning,
Yeah,
it's a team. It's a teamwork. It's the people in the studio. It's the people that know their microphones, which ones to put on the drums. It's the drummer. It's the drums themselves. All of it plays a part. And when you do have magic and everything's right, you know it.
that's
You know
true.
it.
That's right. You definitely know it. And I mean, I've heard some cheap instruments that sounded really good, but I
I
can't say
agree.
that but I can't say that for all of them. And I've heard some that were done
Correct.
with this kind of sensibility of just doing measurements without wondering what it's actually going to sound like, and but it was done with the most meticulous kind of math, and it turned out that it sounded kind of terrible. You would have thought with all the science behind it, like back in the 60s, they were pumping out all those Ludwig drums. They couldn't pump them out fast enough because Ringo popularized them, right? But and it makes you wonder how much finesse they actually put into each drum, or if it was a happy accident, but they did it,
And they were
right?
pumping them out. That's for sure. Um, I, I think, yes, happy accidents definitely happen. No doubt about it. And good for them.
Yeah, they
so,
do happen.
they do happen. And I've seen, yes, there's some kits you just wouldn't think would sound good. They did. And some kits you think would sound good. And they fell a little short. It's again, it's a lot of variables. But when you have the right pieces, usually it works out for the best.
Yeah, yeah. How much do you think is art and how much do you think is science, Chris?
Oh, that's
I mean, I know
well,
that sounds like a
I
stupid
really
question.
think artistry, when you have it and you have something special, you can make things that aren't always super scientific or thought out well. I think you can still get your point across.
Sure.
Not saying
That,
that doesn't have a part in it either. Yes, all that stuff does play a severe part, but I don't know, something about art sometimes, something about it that's just magical in itself. Just
yeah.
if you're a
I mean,
great artist, you can shine through, even if you don't have the best science behind you. I think you can still make your mark.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good. That makes perfect sense. I mean, I get it as a player, but when you modified my drums, I told you what I wanted. You knew exactly how to do it. You knew what you were going to do to give me what I wanted. I wanted them to be a little edgier, um, just to have a little more kind of a certain kind of attack. And so when you had that, when I said that to you, you pretty much knew from a scientific point of view what you were going to do, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely head contact and where it contacts, and a lot of that plays a big part in your drum sound and the way it feels. If is it a little taut feeling or is it spongy? Some people like it nice and soft. Some people like it taut. It all depends on how you play. Are you a harder hitter? Are you a soft hitter? There's so many things, and you have to take all that in consideration. Each player is different. Sometimes watching them
Yeah.
play is a huge thing, and
Hmm.
knowing also the drums, what they should do when they're done correctly. So again, it's everyone together, and
Yeah.
yeah, literally watch that player and listen to their sounds, and then you get to know more about the player. Then you can help them properly, just like a doctor with a patient.
Yeah. You
Good
took the words out
diagnosis
of my
and
mouth.
knows the patient well, you'll probably be able to treat them well. But if you don't, well, then you know, you got to spend time. You got to
But
put a little homework in
that's
first.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot today. And you took the words right out of my mouth. It's the same thing with a doctor-patient relationship. And nowadays, it's so it seems to be a lot of, you know, you go in there and it's like the clock is ticking and you're like on an assembly line. But I remember when I was a kid, they did a house called Butt. The overriding point is that, you know, they would intuit you. You know what I mean? Your intuition is a powerful tool. And I think that the reason why I ask you how much of it is art and how much of it is science is because you know what you're doing down to the letter. Uh, but
I
somehow
try.
I think that you have this thing where you've got this other kind of big picture thing coming from all that experience and that's guiding you, when you
Mm-hmm.
make instruments sound better, you know? Am
That's
I,
it. No, well, that's what I'm trying to do. So hopefully, and it is good. It is nice to hear when people compliment you, like, "Oh my lord, this did not sound like this before
yeah,
you put your hands on it and did your work." And they're like, and now it's a drum they use constantly. I did get a message the other day of someone. They were like, a drum that I built a long, long time ago, and they sent me a picture. It's still being used constantly, and it made my day. It really did. Put a big smile on my
yeah,
face. And I was
sure,
like,
for
that's
many
great to
reasons.
hear those, yeah, the feedback, or go to see or you listen to the record, or you go see them live and the drums sound great. Again, that has to do with, yeah, the sound man, the drummer, all of it together, but it's still, you have some part of it, and it feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find that when you're actually, how different is it for you tuning for a live show than it is if you were to tune in a studio? How
Oh,
different
it's
is it? Same style of music, let's say.
the same style of music. Okay, say I would say I approach it pretty similar. I really do. The only thing is, live sometimes you got to be careful of excess ring and so forth. Ask any front of house guy, they don't like the overwhelming ring. Where in the studio, sometimes that is wanted. A lot of times live, that can get in the way, which I totally get. I do understand. That's where you have to work with the sound guy and make them happy. They do hear what it sounds like out front while you're back. So you have to trust them as well.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so that's where that's the only thing. I like to dry them up a little bit more live. Where in the studio, I like to start wide open,
Mhm.
and then you can always calm them down as needed. But growing up, I've always liked wide open drums, big drums, of course.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but then again, you listen to some of the old '70s stuff where they're really, or '60s where they're really tame, and concert toms love that stuff too. So I think
Yeah.
every everything has its place where it belongs.
Yeah. And it's the recording techniques have changed. It's like the drum kit that I go in, and the way that I have it set up going into a session now is different than how I would have done it in 1982 because
Right, right.
they taped
Well,
everything up.
times have changed. The recording's changed.
Yeah, all of that's
Exactly.
changed. They wanted more control over each track, and things were a lot of those things were in their infancy. But do you also find that live, that the sound waves, the further away they get from the stage, um, the actual pitch of the drums starts sounding lower? So that would you, if that's true, this is kind of a complex question. If that's true, would you try to overcompensate by tuning them a little higher?
Oh, well, yes. Well, and also sometimes you got to factor in, are you outside? Is it hot out? all that plays a part on how your heads are going to wear throughout the playing.
No kidding.
Yes, if you're
No kidding.
outside, very high humidity, and you got sun beaming on the stage, those heads are going to stretch a lot more. So yeah, tend to start a little higher. That way, when
Yeah.
they do dip a little bit, you're not, you know, flubbing out.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So of
Yeah.
course, yes, and air conditioning, all of it, it all has a part of it.
Yeah.
So
I
yes, I
couldn't
do tune them
imagine.
differently.
I mean, have you ever been in a situation live where you have had to deal with, who knows? Some people do this, Chris, to this day. Calf heads?
Half heads, whew, very, very difficult to keep in tune though.
I don't know
But
how
the
they did it back
sound,
in the day. Yeah, I
they
know.
did. Well, and that was, but the sound is so warm and beautiful. I love them. I really do. And they do last a very long time if you take care of them. So they're expensive at first when you buy them, but yeah, they do last. But trying to keep them in tune, I know working with them in some studios, literally don't open the doors because if you have AC or anything, it definitely dramatically changes the tuning. But sometimes you
Amazing.
got to do what you got to do. You just got to go in after every track and you tweak a little, and you never know. You might want to higher one song, lower in another song. So you got to mess with them anyway. So as long
Sure.
as you can get that track down, then you're good. Moving
Yeah.
on to the next one.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of formula or formulas for tuning that you, or how much do you rely? I'm going to bring up the intuition word again, or you just kind of start, just use your ears and some guys just randomly turn knobs and I mean, what's your sort of
I
protocol on
definitely
that?
have sounds in my ears that I hear that feel after doing it for so many years. I think
Hmm.
you get an idea of where you want to pitch. It's a good starting spot for me. Now, would it be where it's going to stay? No, but that's where I'll start. And usually I do go a little higher with the bottom head. Um, you know,
But you don't
almost
have a
like
thing where it's going to go like a clock or anything like that, right? Like you don't have some sort of tuning thing where, or you have to go in a circle clockwise or.
I do like to go opposite, actually. I go opposite one over, and then that's the way I do to try to keep head, the seat evenly, not where you're getting crooked. Once you get crooked, you go all one side, and
Yeah,
it's all about keeping that head straight. And I will
sure.
actually lay my arm across the rim when I'm doing it, and I finger tight everything first so it's touching. And don't
Hmm.
go too many turns with one because then you're already tilting. Start slow, even half turns on each one until you start getting some tension down. And I still stay the same until I bring it up to the tension. And stretching the heads is very important as well before you start playing. Make sure they seat to the bearing edge. Make sure you stretch out the mylar so they're not dipping down while you're playing the track. You want them to hold in tune, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes if I would put a new head on, I'd beat it in the I'd get it finger tight
Like
and yeah,
the old Simon Phillips jumping on the bass drum. Oh, I never got tired of watching him
yeah,
do
yeah.
that. That was great.
Okay, I didn't know that, but that's a funny one. But yeah, beating it so you give it get a head start on it, stretch the head out. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, it was interesting you talk about the bottom end being tighter because a lot of people don't know about that. Well, maybe they do now. Everybody seems to know everything. I don't know.
Well,
The
that's it. Yeah,
idea,
everything's so internet based now. You can find anything.
yeah,
Now, whether it's the right answer or not,
what
has to be
exactly,
determined. But
and whether or not you've integrated that, and people have actually figured out how to do that for themselves too. And you and I talked about this a lot, where you know people didn't realize how tight and Bonzo tuned his bass drum. It
he was
was.
up higher. Yeah, he had big drums, and he did not tune down in the lower register. Big drums tuned up a little higher. They cut, and of course he was playing them, so that never
Yeah,
hurt.
there's that. Yeah, what a player, man! What a legend!
Yeah,
What a
he's one of the
legend!
the legends for
I mean,
sure.
I'll tell you what, I'm really glad I got to see them live. I got to see Zepp, man, right when that
Lucky you.
Zoso, yeah, that I think that was Led Zeppelin 4, Zoso with that
Oh,
GLaDOS, yeah,
yep.
he had the orange Vistalite drums with timpani. It was insane. I was dead center, 10 rows back, standing room only.
Oh,
It was,
I bet you that
I
was
mean,
an amazing.
yeah, it was mind altering. It was really unbelievable. They were unbelievable, man. But anyway, so but in terms of the the history, Chris, I mean, talking about how drums were made back then versus how they're made now, and leave the happy accidents out of it. Do you see any kind of differences that you think are critical to how things are made that make it lean one way or the other in terms of, these are better and, they were built better than, were the materials better, yada, yada,
I
yada.
Ooh, there's a lot in there. I think technology has got us to a point where tolerances and so forth have gotten definitely better. I feel like the machines they use today definitely have a better tolerance in making drum shells. But I think some of them
Right.
back then, yeah, the Ludwigs back in the day where they might look like they're getting ready to give birth to another drum at the seam where they rolled it over and scarf jointed and glued it. But and you would look at that and go, that can't sound good. And then you play it and you go, that sounds incredibly good. It's amazing.
Right.
So
Right.
sometimes, yeah, that's where that perfect science sometimes doesn't hold up. And you just go, this drum, for you, when you look at it, and the head might even be a little alt to get on, or you got to spin it in a spot where it fits best. And then
Yeah.
once you bring it up, you go, holy cow, that sounds incredible. And it's happened
Yeah.
many, many times to me. You're like, I don't know if this is going to be good. And then you're surprised. You go, that sounds incredible. And sometimes you go, you know what? You're lucky to have an incredible sounding drum. There you go.
Oh,
Don't put
sorry,
too much
Chris.
into it.
So
Just be
could you see
happy
that?
that you have a great drum.
Sorry. Yeah. It's put a little bit of that cut out, but,
Um,
but yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
oh,
I hear exactly
but
what you're saying.
but
So yeah, exactly. I know right what you mean. Uh, I mean, it is amazing to think about that, uh, and I've wondered about that a lot. But I think that quality of materials, all of that stuff has a lot to do with it. And I don't mean it to sound black and white, Chris. You know what I mean? It's like
mhm, yeah, I hear.
you know, yeah, I mean, I know that there's nuances there, but you and I have gone through this where we've held up hoops that were,
Yes,
30 years apart. Yeah, exactly. One sounds like a bell and one sounds like a disjoint, like a
a
muted
piece of chunk
triangle.
of metal,
Yeah, a really bad chunk of metal, and those are going to make a difference on the drums. Yeah,
obviously. And
they
that's
just
where the
are.
older drums.
Yeah.
That's where back in the day. Yeah, a lot of the hoops were all made over nickel over brass, chrome over brass, and uh, there's a reason a lot of instruments are made from that material because it's a good material for musical instruments.
Oh well, yeah.
So,
And what about the
and
aging of the wood? I mean, there's
yes, and
that.
that's the other thing. When you're old, wood was definitely tighter. Go look at any construction worker back in the day and ask them what a 2x4 from 1920 compared to a 2x4 made today. And there's a major difference. But as humans, we gotta be mindful of our environment and so forth. So things like that, you got to do what you got to do for the better of mankind. So in
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah, yeah.
instances, it is what it is, and you do
Yeah,
what you
sure.
can to make the best out of it. So, but yeah, the old trees were just solid, solid. And it's so
Yeah,
funny because some of these old woods would have such a beautiful figuring or bird's eye in it, and they would just cover it up with wrap like it was no big deal because you saw it a little, it was more frequent. It wasn't really a special species back then. It was a piece of wood.
yeah,
And where today, now they charge money for those beautiful pieces of wood. Back then, they would
yeah.
cover them up and go, "Ah, it's what we have."
Yeah, yeah, it's in the same way. Like microphones, I remember. I mean, you look at the microphones that came out of, I mean, out of Germany, like the Telefunkens and the Neumanns, the U-47, the Elam, uh, those mics, and I think a lot of times what was happening then was like build me a microphone, and they did, and there's still the high watermark, and they've been
Right.
imitated so many times, and I think that maybe I'm not so sure if that's the same with drum design or anything like that, but definitely quality of material, like you said, they would just cover
Yes.
it up because it was so prolific. But if you were to have any kind of critiques, and I'm not looking to try to find negativity in anything right now. But into just if you were going to say, it would be nice if this were built a little differently because it's overkill or it's underkill, and it wouldn't affect the economics of the industry. What is it that you would like to see different in the way these things are made now?
Ah, I think as long as they're made with, again, as quality of a material that you can get in today's time, and pride of the person doing it. They got to care. You got to put care into it. And I
I
think
agree, man.
that goes a long way. Just that alone can really, I think, rub off into that somehow, rub off into that instrument that you put pride into it and care. I think there's something about that. Love spreads that way. So, um,
Yeah, man.
but
I'm with you.
yeah, I wouldn't say everyone has a thing too. It's not a one thing. This is it. That's the one, and that's it. It's so it's such a variety of music and what people enjoy, and if they enjoy it, then enjoy it.
Yeah.
Not everyone
Right.
might like it, but that's okay as long as you have a group to support you. Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Variety, spice of life.
and as long as you're happy doing it, then keep doing it. There you go.
Amen to that, man. Amen. Is there any advice that you would give to aspiring drummers that just based on your own experience that you feel might save them some agonizing moments?
I think well, do your own research too. Try to be your own drummer. Don't
Amen.
just rip everyone else off. They're already there. Why are you going to copy someone? Be your own. Grab important things from the people that you enjoy listening to. Try to make something of it your own. I think that's how you blossom. If you just copy someone all the time, then really, how are you growing? You're just copying. You're fake in a way. I'd say always come up with your own, no matter what it is. Um, just know that okay, I'll take a little this, little that. It's like making a good recipe. All the good stuff, combine it into one and make a great meal out of it. There you go. I
Yeah.
say just put your time in. Time.
Yeah,
You
and
gotta
I'm
put
not
time
even.
in.
Yeah, you do, and many of them do put a lot of time in, and you could see that evidenced
Oh yes.
in the the sort of skill that they have. But that's a different thing than letting whoever you are come out. And I find that I was able to sort of differentiate between people years ago in the most subtle ways. Uh, like I could hear 10 different guys playing the same simple groove. I could tell you who they were. Don't even ask me how that happens. And I'm not talking about, things that they did that would reveal their identity. But what I think that says is that our ears recognized much more subtle things that differentiated people. And for me, I just, whatever it was that made me sound like me and stop modeling was just getting out of my own ways. Cliche as that sounds, it's just a question of I was searching for it so much I didn't know what it was going to be, and I just stopped tripping over it. I just stopped
Right.
like obsessing over it, and I just emerged. Because I mean, at the end of the day, man, you can run and hide, but wherever you go, there you are. So just
Yep.
embrace it. Right? Just
Yes.
embrace who that person is. Yeah. So well
Yeah,
said.
and it's especially with someone like yourself with the trained ear like that, listening to, like you say, even many drummers playing the same beat. When you know those drummers, yeah, they have little you can hear little things that they do, nuances. They're like, oh, I know who that is. I know who that is. And that's beautiful. That's all what it's about. Because, like you said, you can have all these people trying to play this one song or this part. And it should be that oh, they're all playing the part, but they all have their thing. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, Chris, because people can get used to anything, but I think that we were definitely used to the organic, sort of uh, emanations that were coming out of everybody back then. It was just, we weren't really obsessing over auto tune or a
No,
quantization and
no.
beat
And
detective. Nobody really cared.
yes,
Yeah.
that's where I feel people were more their own back then without all the technology. I think
Hmm.
that's what really shined through with people just doing their thing because you were either
Sure.
good at it or you weren't. And it was noticeable because you had nothing to hide behind. It was
That's
literally,
exactly right.
this is you raw. So there you go. And I'm not saying that a lot of the tech, you know, technology today is hurtful. It's changes, like I said before.
Yeah.
Everything's changed. It's going to change. But I do admire the people that can go out there with nothing to hide behind nothing and do their art, no matter what it is, and shine. That is something that's a true artist.
Yeah, I
So
agree, man. I agree. I'm sorry. The reason why I'm chuckling is because I'm not sure if these earbuds are going to block it out, but one of our dogs is squealing in the
it's,
background.
he's alone. See, but there it is. Don't want to be
No,
alone.
it's you don't know. I think you saw the cat or something, but it's like a 3 week circus around here now, and I got to crack up. But
Oh, that's good.
it's,
That's
it's really
life.
fun.
Real.
It's really funny. Yeah, it's real, man.
It's
Absolutely.
real.
Yeah, yeah,
Real is
but
good.
real is good. Yeah, and so yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. And like even now, I try to treat a DAW like a tape machine. I try to treat it like that. Yes, you can punch in and do seamless edits and blah 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 blah. A lot of things you can do, but I grew up in the era of tape machines, and
Right.
I think it served me well to be able to do from top to bottom because really we're performing, but and there is an inherent challenge to that is multi-layered. Playing song form from top to bottom, understanding the evolution of the song, changing, because the song is developing. So maybe on the second verse, you're not going to play it exactly the same. All little things like that, and I mean, I can go on and on and on about that, but I don't want to digress too much. But I think that if we lose certain kinds of elements of let's just say song form, then we're going to lose those demands on us. I hate to use the word demands, but those requirements, those
Hmm.
sort of things that are baked into that we have to, you know what I mean? Because we're
Yes.
telling a
Yes.
story. Yeah, a
Right.
story is being told, and
It's funny because that was going to be my analogy on it. Imagine reading a story, but every sentence you stopped, and then you read another
yeah,
sentence and stopped. You're not getting just read it through. You get a better sense of the story when you just read it through. So it's funny that you said
yeah,
story because that's exactly what I
yeah,
was thinking in my head.
right. And now it's like, well, it could be argued that, well, they're telling a story, but it's not being necessarily, um, uh, it doesn't have the same kind of environment around it as it once did. And people will argue that too and say, well, the environment's different. It doesn't have to have that. It's not a question of having to have or not. It's just that once if you, I mean, I would put on the radio and I'd hear like, Babylon Sisters or Hey 19 or any of these songs or
Hmm.
Steely Dan. Those were top 40 and, they had some sophisticated harmony,
Hmm.
versus a lot of that harmonic movement that's missing now or melodic movement that's missing, and
Yes.
middle eights and bridges and breakdowns. And, now it's like different kinds of layers where those kinds of movements are missing, and it's kind of done, by like just muting channels. You know what I mean? And stuff like
Right.
that. There's no, where it's like the same four chords in the whole song, and the beat never really changes much, or it's just like a bunch of hi-hat, you know,
Yep.
100 millionth notes going on because you have a slider that can go, you know, it's just, yeah. I mean, and there's a time and place for all of that.
Of course.
People are going to say,
There
"Oh,
it is.
he's ragging on this." No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just trying to say that don't just say, "Oh, well, this is okay now. This is how it is, and it's okay." Uh, you know, it's just what it is. Don't, that stuff is dated. It's not dated. There are many things
No,
that can make
there's
something.
formulas that work, and that's it. You can't
Yeah,
get too formulated though. If you become
yeah,
too, oh well, they only like this, you chop out so much of the other that you're stuck just with
yeah,
this now instead of having this. You
yeah,
got this.
exactly. So
So no, I totally understand.
yeah,
Everything has its place, and it's again, if it's liked, then it's liked, and there's nothing you can do about it, whether you hate it or not. If it's liked, it's liked. So
yeah, because people can get used to anything. Like we are talking about that before, and I get that. Um,
but
it's a tough thing to deal with. Like on one hand, but on the other hand, it isn't. Like I totally get what you're saying. It's look, there's something for everyone, and people can get used to anything. I just think that forfeiting some of the elements that that really ha- have a great purpose maybe is not necessarily the best thing to do. I think that,
right.
yeah, and just I'd like to see some of those things, return to the sort of methodology of song making. But yeah, anyway, that's just me. So, but
No,
what do
I'm
you?
with you. No, it's nice to hear changes in songs and
Yeah,
it's a story, like a story unfolding. It's the same
yeah,
thing. Take you
yeah,
on a path somewhere, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's this is happening, and you feel this, and then this just went into a chord change here. Now it's uplifting. Oh, now it just got dark, and now
yeah,
it moves you. It does
yeah,
move
yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's
Sure.
an emotional thing, and that's what drew me to music the most. It can make you happy, it can make you cry, it can make you skip down the road, it can do any. That's why I love music.
Yeah,
It's my
yeah,
favorite language.
yeah, man.
So
It
yes,
is.
I think having those aspects, you can't just lose them. No, I
No,
agree.
absolutely not. But, do you feel positive about the about uh about music moving forward? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that want to play and that are playing now, and they're
I
practicing their
agree.
butts off, and a lot of
I
great
agree.
stuff going on. Yeah,
Yes, I think yeah, once we get people more, and you are seeing a more younger generation really taking into music instruments, and I'm loving that. It's a wonderful thing. Makes me happy because it's going to stay around. It's going to happen. Drums are still being sold. Guitars are still being sold. It's happening. Basses are being sold. Amplifiers, all of it. So it's going to stay alive, and yeah, as long as I'm here, I'm interested in see which way it goes.
right on. Me too, man. So let's just hope that the future looks bright. And what's besides we what you hinted at earlier. We were talking. What's next for Chris Heuer now?
Stay working.
Yes, I like
Stay
that.
busy. Try
It's
to stay
all,
busy,
yeah,
keep yourself occupied, and
yes, sir.
don't give up. Yeah, just keep going. There you go. Just keep trying to better yourself, move forward, and then yeah, be blessed for every day you're given. There you
I
go.
love it. I love it. I love it, man. Thank you, Chris. That is so awesome, man. And
Benny, thank you so much. You know, you're an
yeah,
inspiration to myself and so many people. And again, a huge honor to have me on here. And again, as a friend, I'm yeah, just yeah, in
same
awe.
here.
You're a wonderful
Same.
person, and I love you, brother.
And you too. I love you right back, brother, man. And on many levels, man, you've just been an amazing friend, and just you've just completely taken my instrument to new heights, and it's just the time we spent together too, it's just been really, really cool. I've really, really learned a lot from you. So
Some I
keep on
cherish
trucking,
for
brother.
sure, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Thank
Definitely.
you so much, Chris. And everyone, it's Heuer's Drum Lab. If you want to find Chris, you can find him. Where can they find you, Chris?
Yes, you can find me online at hewersdrumlab.com, or my phone number's there, and you know how to
And
reach
you're on
me.
Instagram?
There it is.
You're on
And
Instagram as well,
I am
right?
on Instagram as
Right.
well.
Well, there
So
you go.
um, there you go. You can hit me up. I look forward to hearing from you, and let me know how I can help you.
Right on. All right, Chris, we're going to wrap up. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks again, Ben. Been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode of Breakfast with Vinnie.